It is the holiday season here in the United States, and because of that, I'm going to offer you guys a gift today. This is going to be my most ambitious attempt at explaining why you should remain single. So I'm going to offer you 50, not 10, not 20, no, that's amateur hour. I'm going for 50 reasons why it's better to be single than to be married at any age. This is Life 2.0. Let's get into it. So first of all, this is not some misogynistic rant against women. This is not Andrew Tate style conversation, no. And this is not the ramblings of some burned out old man who's jaded, although it might be a little bit like that, but not really. I still have women in my life, and I still like them. I want you to consider this more like a GPS with disaster avoidance. Because there's a lot of hazards ahead, and I'm going to help you avoid them. So you can use this rationale that I'm providing you as actually reasons not to get married, or you can use it as a guide to help you avoid the biggest disasters that occur if you are in a relationship and how to avoid them. All right, let's get into it. Number one, and this may be the most obvious one, but you get to keep all your money. Women are Olympic level shoppers, and regardless of how good you are with money, if you bring a woman into your life, it's inevitable that she will drain your bank accounts faster than you could have imagined. It's like having an alcoholic in your house and you're trying to keep the alcohol away from her. It's just impossible. So you get to be a lot richer, and that goes to number two. Single men who remain single all their lives tend to be a lot wealthier than men who have been through a marriage and then divorce. So if you want to stack the odds in your favor, stay single. You'll have much more wealth at the end of your life than the average guy in the world. And of course, the reason for that is number three, you're not going to be we'll call it financially assaulted in family court. I don't want to use the R word there. You know, someone might ban me, not monetize my channel. The next one, number four, is you don't have to worry about alimony. So huge expenses that drive most guys not just into bankruptcy, but into despair. Now, I'm laughing about it, but it's some hardcore, terrible shit. And although I am making light of it, please take it seriously. These are some serious issues. Number five, you get to control all the major purchases. And this is no little thing either. If you're going to be buying a car or a house or, vacation property or something like that, the minute you start getting input from a woman is the minute things start getting expensive and going sideways. She's going to add stuff in that you would never want, She's going to want the front porch, or she's going to want some other add-on that's going to throw tens of thousands of dollars onto this purchase. Where if you're buying a house and you're planning on selling it rather than dying in it at some point in the future, you want to buy a house that you can make a profit on. Now, if you layer all this extra stuff into that house, you know the way the markets are and the way neighborhoods are. Well, if you've got the lower priced house in the neighborhood, you're much more likely to sell it for a bigger profit. If you got the house that's layered with all the options, well, you're gonna have a hard time getting your money out of that one. Same thing goes for cars. Oh my God. They want all the gadgets, everything that you can get on it. And then the next one, number six, is you get to actually save for your own future. You get to plan for things that you want to do with your life and do it with some sense of reliability. So if you're thinking to yourself that when you get to be in your 50s, you want to be completely retired and you want to travel the world and maybe explore some of the offerings in some of the other countries, well, you can do that. But if you got a woman in your life at any time, even for a short time, even for like 5 or 10 years, well, your retirement plan is going to get pushed back at least for a decade and maybe two. So There's a lot of expense associated with that. And it's not just the financial expense, it's the life expense. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a lot. Okay, let's go. Come on. Oh shit. Oh, Debu, that ice is not good, man. All right, so the next category is lifestyle liberation. So talking about houses, we're going to talk about lifestyle now. So when you do finally buy that house, if you buy it with a woman, well, you better expect that she's going to want to decorate it. And if you've ever lived long-term with a woman who had decorating power in your life, you know what that's like. It's like living in a museum where there are certain rooms that you're not allowed to go into. She's going to buy impractical stuff. My wife bought white furniture. Now, if you haven't noticed, I have some dogs, and we like to be outside a lot. And you know what dogs do outside? Is they roll in the dirt. They get wet. They shit all over themselves sometimes. And you know what white furniture does really poorly? It hides dirt really badly. So guess what happens? Yeah, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. Now, I had dogs when I met her, and we took walks in the woods for years and years and years. I don't know where it comes from. It's just like a chromosome is missing or something. But yeah, they do some stupid shit. And then the financial cost, the expense of it all is just insane. But we talked about money already, so I don't want to go too far down that path. But when you're decorating yourself, and this is another good reason why, thinking with the number 8 here, is that you can make your house the way you want it to look, you know? So it looks like a man actually lives in the house. Because when a woman does it, you walk in there and you go like, is there a man living here? I went to go visit my uncle. I'm going to digress just for a minute. And he's this big, burly cop, you know? This is like when I was like 30 years ago. And he had a vice cop. He was kicking down doors. He had his gun with him all the time. He was a nasty MFer. He really was. He was in the Marine Corps. He did multiple tours in Vietnam. The guy was a little nuts. But went to visit him once, and the whole house, him and his wife, whole house was just pristine. It was like some kind of like you were walking into a gift shop, you know, with Cario cabinets with all these little things inside them, and everything's all glass, and it's just beautiful. I mean, it was a beautiful room. I have to give her credit, but it was not a place for a man. And so he says, "Hey, John, you want to watch some TV with me?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go." And so he takes me to this room that is about the size of a closet. I kid you not. It's about 8 feet across, and it's probably about 20 feet long. So it's like a hallway on the back side of the house with some glass. And inside that room, there is a small TV and a bench where I could sit and watch TV. And I was like, oh, holy shit. I should have recognized that right then. It's like, now I get it. This guy gave up his doodads, she put him in her purse, and now he's relegated to the closet to watch TV. But anyway, this happens. I'm not just making fun. This is serious. This is serious stuff. Controlling your house's systems. This seems like a small thing, but it really does affect your quality of life. When you lose control of your thermostat, you've lost control of your sleep, you've lost control of your daily comfort, you've lost control of everything. Now, women are always cold. I don't care what season it is, I don't care how hot it is outside, they are always freaking cold. I have no idea why that happens. It's like they are thermally dysregulated. So that means they want it warm in the house all the time. Now, you know, scientists say that you need to have your temperature down between 66 and 68 degrees to sleep to get a good night's sleep. 66 degrees to a woman might as well be 20 degrees below zero. There is no way she's sleeping at 66 degrees. You're going to have to just strip down and be nearly naked in your bed in order to get a rest, because she's going to have that at 74. I promise you. It's going to be in the mid 70s, and you're going to be sweating it out all night long. Number 10, since we're talking about sleep, you get to sleep like a king. You can sleep wherever you want. Your bed is your space. You go to bed whenever you want. You wake up whenever you want. Your bed is what you want it to be. If you want one of those water beds, you can have a water bed. If you want to have your bed to be as hard as a board, it's as hard as a board. If you want your bed to be one of those ones that goes up and down like that, you can do that. Hell, if you want one of those old motel beds with the vibrating massager in it, do it. Do it. It's all up to you, man. You got it. You got full control. When you have a woman, that's not your call anymore. Yeah, you're going to be sleeping in some really soft, gushy sponge, you know? And you're going to be thinking, why does my back hurt all the time? Why am I sweating and why does my back hurt? All right, number 11, you get to eat whatever you want, whenever you want. Meal times are completely up to you. You want to go traditional? Go traditional. If you want to go non-traditional, eat when you want. 6 times a day, 10 times a day, doesn't matter. You want to graze all day long? Do it. If you want to have one giant meal and skip the rest, you can do it. With a woman, they're going to have a preconceived idea of the way you should be doing things, and they're going to want you to conform to that idea. Now, they won't do it right away. They're always going to be very allowing in the beginning, but you better believe that she's going to persistently be pushing you back down to the path that she wants you to follow. So, when you're with a woman, she wants you to look a certain way. She wants you to dress a certain way. I don't know why. It's like they got their dress up Ken doll or something like that. But yeah, she wants you to shop at the stores that she wants you to shop at, and she's going to want you to wear the clothes that she wants you to wear, especially if you're going to be in public with her. You're going to try to please her. Next thing you know, you're going to be wearing all these clothes that don't feel right on you, don't look right on you, and you're thinking, this isn't the man I am. Why am I wearing these clothes? You know, we all have our own personal style. And for whatever reason, when you bring a woman into your life, when you marry a woman, when you're committed in a long-term relationship to a woman and she's married to you, she's got the ring, she feels like now she has control and she can tell you how you need to look in order to be with her. And there is no question about it. This is a lack of autonomy. This is a lack of authenticity. This is just robbing you of your identity. Number 13, you got entertainment autonomy. Watch what you want, when you want, go where you want, whatever. Number 14, you've got travel autonomy, vacation autonomy. You can go and do what you want, when you want, where you want, with whom you want. You don't need to, if you don't want to go see museums in France, don't go see museums in France. If you'd rather lay on some beach in Bora Bora and have some island girl dance for you, do that instead. You know what I mean? You don't have to make these sacrifices. I don't think women realize just how much we as men sacrifice to have them in our lives. It's insane that we make all these sacrifices because the upshot really isn't that great, because we think what we're going to get in return for all these sacrifices is intimacy, consistent intimacy, and loyalty, friendship, got your back, a partner. That is not what you're getting. That is not what you're getting. That might be what you're getting when you're dating her. But as soon as that ring goes on her finger, most of those things dissolve into fairy dust or something because they are gone. Number 15, you get to pursue your actual interests. You don't need to make excuses for how you're spending money. If you want to build a model railroad in your basement and just become like the conductor or whatever, you can do that. If you want to take pilot's license tests, you want to become a pilot, or you want to jump out of airplanes on a regular basis, or you want to take up an expensive hobby of some kind, you can do that. It's your money. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. Number 16, this is one of my favorites. You get complete pet freedom. You notice I have a lot of dogs. My wife is not a real animal person. She did not like animals very much at all. Debu, don't jump in the water. You're going to hurt yourself, pal. Yeah, don't go in there. She liked keeping a pristine house. I don't know what the hell she was thinking marrying me. I had a 7-year-old kid and I had a big dumb dog, and we were living in a tiny little townhouse when she came in. And our house was not necessarily immaculate and clean. I remember the day she met my son, he was all covered with mud, and we got home to see my dog, and he was all covered with mud too. It was like they were cut from the same cloth. And they were. Kids and dogs, boys and dogs, very, very similar. Having the autonomy to have your life the way you want it is priceless. Number 17, you get to choose your friends. I know that may not sound like a big thing, but when you're single, it's a great thing. Because when you have really colorful friends, you have a really colorful life. I remember growing up and having really colorful friends. I don't have so many colorful friends now, but they're mostly responsible married people. But colorful friends really make your life more enjoyable. You know, that guy that always gets drunk, talks too much, makes a fool of himself in public, he's always fun to hang out with from time to time. You know what I mean? It's an important aspect to your life, having the friends that you want and not having them filtered by someone who does not necessarily have your best interest at heart. She's seeing it from her perspective and how it affects her rather than how it affects you. Number 18, your sex life is actually going to improve if you're single. Now, you single guys are thinking, John, that is, you can't sell that. You're just lying to me now. How could a married guy not have a better sex life than a single guy? Now, you're partially right. So in the beginning, like for that first year or two, someone said to me, if you take a marble and you put it in a jar for the first year that you're married, every time you have sex, Debu, get off the ice. Come over here. Come on. Put a marble in a jar every time you have sex during the first year. And then for the next 20 years, you take a marble out. At the end of that 20 years, you'll still have marbles in the jar. Okay? So yeah, in the beginning, it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. There's sex all the time. By the end of that first year, second year, third year, somewhere in that range, things are really dropped off significantly. You'd be lucky. I mean, I remember in the beginning, it was like every day for like the first few months. And then it dropped down to like 3 or 4 times a week, which was still great. I wasn't so worn out. And then after that, it dropped down to like once a week. And then after that, it was like once every couple of weeks, and then once a month, and then it's like once every quarter. It was like getting my quarterly report, Yeah, it's not so good, man. By the time you've been there long enough, you're lucky to get it once a year on your birthday. Number 19, you're going to be much more attractive to other women when you're single. Men tend to keep themselves better when they're single. They dress better when they're single. And when you commit yourself to being single and you make yourself a man that's hard to get, women really find you attractive. As soon as you make it clear that marriage isn't on the table, they are going to want you. They're going to want you twice as bad. All right, that takes me to number 20. You get to date without commitment. Oh, that's a wonderful opportunity, When you're just dating women and you just get to hang out with them, enjoy them for their time, take them on a nice date that you planned out to the places that you want to go, to do the things that you want to do. They enjoy it. You enjoy it. Maybe there's some intimacy at the end of the night. Maybe there's not. But either way, you're not stuck with her, One of my friends told me a long time ago when I met my ex-wife, it was like a cautionary note. He said, John, no matter how hot a woman is, somewhere there's some guy who's glad she's not there. And I thought, something? That's really good advice. And when you think about making a commitment to a woman, just keep that in mind, especially if you think she's super hot. Because I guarantee you, those super hot ones, those are the ones that give you the most trouble. So if you are divorced and you have children, you have this new opportunity to redefine yourself in the eyes of your children. You can become the parent you always wanted to be. You can parent without interference. So if your wife was too loosey-goosey with your kids and she was letting them do whatever they want, well, now you can start to instill some discipline in a meaningful way, in a loving way, but in a meaningful way to help keep them on track. If your wife was the tyrant in the house and your kids don't trust her, well, now you can become the trusted parent. There are lots of opportunities as a single dad. And I suggest that if you do get that opportunity, even on a part-time basis, you make the most of it. If you remain single throughout your entire life, it's very likely that you're going to continue to have friendships from high school and college and throughout your entire life. You're going to continue to have those relationships go on and on and on. I didn't get married until I was in my mid-30s, and I was still best friends with a guy I knew since I was like 5 years old. That was a friendship that had persisted. Once he was married and I was married, guess what happened? Haven't seen him in like 15, 20 years. Yeah, so you got to realize that once women get involved, man, your friendships start to dissolve, and it's really a shame. It really is. Number 23, and this is a huge one, the level of drama in your life will be significantly reduced. I don't know why women love drama, but they do. They can take almost any situation and make it infinitely worse. And I don't know why they do it. It seems like it's apparent to me there's a clear path toward an easy solution, but no, they can't go that path. They need to find the one that's going to cause the most noise, draw the most attention. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's all about the attention that, instills this dramatic note to every event in their lives. And it's like, can you please just let it go? Can we just not have that conversation again? Do I have to walk you through this one more time? Honest to God, it's like having a fucking kid. It really is. It's like having a really bad kid. All right, next topic. Health and happiness. When you are single, you are healthier. I know there's all this propaganda out there, this marriage propaganda that says married men live longer. The only reason they might live longer is because there's some woman there nagging him about getting that mole on his back looked at by the doctor, whatever. But for the most part, men who remain single, I'm not talking about divorced men, I'm talking about men who remain single, lifelong single men, they take care of themselves. They remain healthy, they remain strong, they take care of themselves, and they live longer. They're going to live longer and they're going to be happier. Now, you still got to have healthy relationships in your life, so I'm not saying you should never have a woman. I think that having healthy relationships is absolutely critical to your overall mental health, but getting married isn't. Getting married does not necessarily scratch that itch, does not necessarily extend your life. How many... here's the thing that they filter this down. So by the time they get to be 75 or 80 and these guys are still married, they got that look on their face, that shell-shocked look of, oh my God, I am still here. Do you want to be that guy? No, you don't. I'm going to answer that for you. You don't. Clearly, if you never get married, you're going to have superior mental health. You're not going to need to be on any kind of antidepressant or anti-anxiety drug. You're going to be just fine. So that's a huge one right there. The reason why you're going to have better mental health is you're going to have less stress. That's number 26. So less stress is an enormous benefit to your overall quality of life. When my wife left, my stress levels dropped by like 90%. I had no idea how much stress she was bringing to me every day, day in and day out for 20 plus years. Yeah, so less stress, huge. Number 27, and this is another one of those weird statistics that the married propaganda try to force down our throat. Single men tend to live longer because they are less stressed and they're in better shape. Married men tend to die at younger ages because they're so stressed out and fat. They're trying to find some way to deal with their feelings, so they eat their feelings. They eat and drink their feelings. This is just what married men do. It's like, bring me another hamburger and a beer, please, somebody. Somebody get me something warm to eat and cold to drink because my life sucks. This is what it's like to be married. Number 28, we're going to step into emasculation here. You do not get any criticism or judgment. Woof. Man, if women only knew the damage they do with criticism and judgment. And not having all that criticism in your life has got to be one of the most important things. My mother was very critical. So I married a woman who was critical. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? You're trying to compensate for something? I don't know. But yeah, there's no point in having all that criticism and judgment in your life. Hold on to your testicles. Don't hand them over to a woman. You need to keep them in your pocket, man. You need to keep them where they belong. Do not allow a woman to have them. Number 29, your emotional stability is going to be 100 times better when you don't have a whack job woman in your life. All you have to do is to be in a room with a woman who's pissed off at you and not talking, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Because you're afraid to do anything. You're afraid to put your feet up on the furniture. You're afraid to fart because she's going to yell at you. You're walking on eggshells. You're just trying to keep everything as copacetic as possible. And when a woman is pissed off and she's giving you the silent treatment or she's got some issue she's trying to push down your throat, man, your life sucks. It just does. And so you will not have that experience if you're single. All right, let's move on to personal development. Number 30. your career will flourish. Yes, because you can dedicate as much time, energy, and whatever you want to your career. You can actually have a lot of freedom to choose the career that you want. You're no longer locked into a job that pays a steady salary because you're supporting her. You know what I mean? Like, you can actually take some risks with your financial future and try those things that maybe you couldn't try if you were trying to support another person. That makes a big difference in your outcomes, because when you take bigger risks, eventually you're going to get bigger rewards. And it's really tough to take big risks when you're supporting a family. Number 31, unlimited personal growth, meaning you can define who you are going to be. That means you have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to learn as much about what it means to be the man that you want to be and to become that guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to learn, multiple languages, you can do that. If you want to become a martial artist, extraordinaire, you can do that. If you want to, get into grappling and become maybe a professional, cage fighter, you can do that. There is no limit to what you can do. If you decide you want to race cars, guess what? You can do that. You can fly planes, race cars, downhill skiing. There is no limit to what you can do and the guy that you can become. All you need to do is not get married. And of course, a big part of that is you're being your authentic self. You're not trying to be anybody for anybody else. You're just being you. And as that person changes throughout your life, there's no one to get feedback from. Like, I don't like the man you're becoming. Like, go fuck yourself. I like the man I'm becoming. I think this is the guy I was always meant to be. And if you don't like it, get out. That's what you can say when you're not married. If you are married, you got that legal system after you. You got the law coming for you, man. And you don't want that. Number 33, being self-sufficient. There is nothing better in the world than being self-sufficient. When you're not dependent on anyone else for anything else, that is a wonderful experience. Number 34, goal-setting ability. You're not setting goals with her, you're setting goals for yourself, When you've got a woman in your life, especially when you're married, when it comes to thinking about the future, you got to include her in the plan, So if she's got some cockamamie idea about living in the Swiss Alps, you're going to have to deal with that. You know what I mean? You're going to have to at least play the game with her on that. Even though it's completely unrealistic and stupid, you got to at least act like it's okay. And we do that. We get their crazy lunatic ideas and we hear them and we try to keep our straight face and act like, oh, of course, honey, that sounds completely rational and normal. I'm totally on board. Let's see what we can do to make that happen. In the back of your mind, you're thinking, that is the craziest wacky shit I have ever heard in my life. I don't know why I am still standing here. I should be running for the hills. Number 35, we talked a little bit about this earlier, risk-taking. You can take whatever risks that you want when you're single, whether that be with your job, with your personal life, with your hobbies. You can do anything you want, And a big part of being a man is having testosterone flowing through your body. And a big part of that testosterone is about taking risks. When you commit yourself to a marriage and you commit yourself to a family, you also have to commit yourself to not taking such big risks, because as soon as you have that responsibility of taking care of other people's lives, well, you no longer have full control of your own. Your autonomy has been removed. And so risk-taking becomes a null and void kind of activity. And when you lose that risk-taking ability, it kind of sucks something out of your soul, just FYI. All right, number 36, we're moving on to the legal and practical applications of being single. When you are single, of course, you do not have to worry about family court. If you've ever been to family court, it's not a place for men. This is a place made for women, by women, and to support women. This is like going to a feminist rally, where they're going to figure out exactly all the bad things that you did and how much it's going to cost you and for how long. It's like being a Christian in Rome, when they're throwing them to the lions. This is not a fair court system at all. It is by far the most unfair, most ridiculous system ever created. And I have no idea how it has persisted to this point. It is so out of whack with the times that we live in that it's like we're living in 1956 instead of 2026. Do you know what I mean? It's like This judge is thinking, oh, this poor woman, she's incapable of doing anything. She can't support herself, and you're a terrible man. You have obviously been responsible for the failure of this marriage. You need to pay her to stay home and take care of that child forever. I don't care if she has a boyfriend. No, she can have the boyfriend and the child. And yet, if they want to go to Paris, they can do that on your dime. And you're like, what, why? When was this ever mentioned in the vows? Like, when we took the, at the church, for better, for richer, for poorer, and all that stuff, where did it say, and I got to pay for her for the rest of her life? I'm like her pension. Why is that happening? Yeah, don't get involved. Number 37, no custody battles. I think that one explains itself. There's nothing worse than losing custody of your children and then having them poisoned against you for the rest of your life. This happens. This is, criminal activity on the part of women, and the courts let them get away with it. So just be aware that as a man in a marriage, your rights in court, if it ever gets to that point, are null and void. You are basically losing anything and everything of value to you. So that alone should be enough to keep you from getting married.
Griffin Chillip.
Because women have so much control in the courts and they have so much power in the courts, it causes a power shift inside your relationship. And this is like number 38. Yeah. So what this means is that there is an unspoken rule in relationships that women are aware of, that if they get fed up with you, if you don't perform well enough, for whatever reason, on any gauge you want, they can pull the divorce card, and they know that they're going to win in the end. So it's a contract where the person who breaks the contract gets a financial windfall. So in what world does this make sense? Would you sign a contract with someone where you're in agreement to be a partner with them, but if they decide to break the contract, they get half of your stuff? I mean, just saying it out loud sounds so ridiculous, right? Right? I mean, come on. Why would anybody enter into this contract? Please, why would you do it? It's just completely stupid. Anyone who gets into a marriage without a prenup these days is a complete moron. I am saying that plain and straightforward. If in 2026 you're planning to get married, you need to have a prenup, no matter what. And it protects both men and the women, but you need to have some kind of an agreement to dissolve the marriage. You cannot go into court. It's like going into probate, it is the worst possible thing. You do not want this for yourself. Number 39, you will not be seeking validation from anyone outside of yourself. There's no even temptation for it. Once you get into the habit of seeking validation from a woman, it becomes really, really difficult to break that habit. So yeah, that's a huge one. Number 40, even dating is dangerous. So you got to watch this, all of you. In this whole Me Too environment where women are victimized by anyone and everything all the time, it's really easy for you to become a victim. I was walking in the grocery store the other day and I saw this attractive young woman. She wasn't beautiful, but she was cute. And she had this porcelain-like skin. And it just glowed. And I thought to myself, oh, she's got really pretty skin. And I thought, but if I said to her, hey, I think you've got some beautiful skin, you know what she would have done? She probably would have screamed, She could have said, leave me alone, you creep, You can't even approach a woman half the time without being fearful of her taking it the wrong way. Just even being a nice guy trying to strike up a conversation with a woman could very easily lead you in a direction that you never intended. And suddenly you're being called some kind of like I said, a creep, or I don't know, whatever nasty thing they can think to call us. So yeah, be really, really cautious out there. Number 41, you will not have compromise fatigue or negotiation fatigue, where you're constantly negotiating every point with someone else. What ends up happening when you have negotiations is it means that nobody wins. It means you're trying to find a compromise that either one of you is not going to like, And at the end of the day, you get kind of fed up with that. You just want to do things your own way. And when you're single, you do it your own way. Number 42, you will not get stuck in a relationship where the person that you're intimately involved with decides that she doesn't want to be intimate anymore. I don't know what makes women think this is okay. I don't know why they think this is a way to approach a man or deal with a man in a marriage. But withdrawing sex is as common as the common cold. I mean, it's probably more common than that. It's almost a meme, the way women withdraw sex from a marriage after about a decade, where it's just like, I've done my share, I'm out. you know? And if they don't do it at 10 years, by the time they hit menopause, they are definitely pulling the plug on sex. So if you're not in a marriage with her, guess what? You just say, fine, moving on, next. You know, you don't need to worry about the court system coming for you. You can just walk away. Number 43, speaking of menopause, you can avoid all that madness. Living with a woman who's going through menopause can be like being locked in a cell with a crazy person for 5 years. Yeah, like some kind of special punishment for men who stay through that whole process. I don't know how they do it. My wife went through menopause, thankfully, right as I was leaving, or right after she left, I guess, as we split up. And her life went even more bizarre than it had been before. But the intimacy goes away, the affection goes away, the moodiness goes through the roof. They complain about everything. They become less nurturing. They become less kind. It's just like having a really grumpy friend, you know what I mean? Who's pissed off at you all the time. Yeah, this is not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be. Number 44, you will not have a professional victim as a partner. Women are really, really good at taking on the victim mantle. They seem to enjoy that more than anything. And of course, society, you know, pumps them up with that concept of what it's like to be a victim and why they are victims. Well, now they become a victim in their own marriage, in their own home, because they're not being supported in the way that they feel like you should be supporting them. They will overlook the fact that you're bringing home all this money or all the things that you do, and they're just going to think of all the things that you didn't do. And they're going to feel victimized because you didn't do those things, because obviously you don't love her or respect her, or you're not, you know, supportive of her and whatever her endeavors are. The argument just makes itself, you know, and there's nothing you can do to win this argument. I don't care how good a parent you are, how good a father you are, or a good a husband you are, you know, how many times you mow the lawn, how many times you put up the Christmas lights. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. She needs to be the victim here, and you, by default, are the perpetrator. Number 45, if you enjoy a little romance in your life, let me just tell you something. Marriage is not a romantic institution. It is not. Dating is romantic. Having girlfriends is romantic. If you like that little flutter you get in your heart, you know, you start to feel those butterflies in your tummy when that girl walks in the room, those are all wonderful experiences. You got that little tingle down below when you see her. Ah, that is the best. That is the best. That does not happen in marriage. I'm just telling you right now. If you like those experiences, that all happens in the dating world. That does not happen in the married world. Now, it might happen in the married world for a little while, but it goes away after a while, and then it never comes back. Like, that feeling doesn't come back. So, yeah, if you like to have that sensation of falling in love, don't get married. Number 46, I mentioned this partially in one of my other ones earlier, but systematic emasculation is a part of the power play that women use during relationships like marriage. Debu, get off the ice, pal. Come on, man. Come on. The emasculation is a way for women to remove your masculine power so that they feel more in control of the relationship. It's as plain and simple as that. It's something they do almost by default. It's not something they think about. It's something that they just, I think what it really boils down to is women are smaller and weaker, and they're afraid for themselves, and they are afraid of men to a certain degree, even the man that they're married to. And the only way that they can feel safe is that they remove his power. And of course, as soon as they remove his power, they're no longer attracted to him, and so the relationship self-destructs. It is a very, very circular problem, and I don't know what the solution to that is, but when you're not married, you don't got to deal with it. So that's one solution. No, 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 no. Get down. Get down. Get down. Get down. I think this dog's trying to commit suicide. Number 47, you don't want to be anybody's ATM or their butler. Guess what? If you're married, you become the ATM and the butler. So avoid that at all costs. Number 48, you'll never have a midlife crisis if you don't get married. Yes. Midlife crises occur because people make bad decisions and they regret them. And they look back and they think, oh my God, I should have lived my life differently, and my time's running out. And if I don't do something crazy right now, I am never going to experience the joy that I want in my life. If you never get married, guess what? You don't have that experience. Number 49, this is a good one. No obligation intimacy. No If you have ever been with a woman who feels like she's doing you a favor by just laying there and letting you have your way with her, while she's off in some other world thinking of what's going to happen next, cleaning the dining room, whatever, you know, and doing the laundry and the dishes, and you're just trying to imagine that she's enjoying herself while you are just thinking how ridiculous this whole set of circumstances is. You don't want that. You do not want that. You do not want that in your life. There is nothing more emasculating than that. Then finally, number 50, your freedom to evolve. Freedom to become the man that you want to be. I talked about this a little bit, but it's beyond just, reading books and all that stuff. It's about taking your game up to a completely different level. It's about becoming the absolute best person you can be in your life. When you are married, this can be problematic. Now, just FYI, I'm just going to leave a caveat here. It is possible to have a relationship with a woman when these things don't happen, but it is going to require finding exactly the right woman, which is going to be hard, and it's going to require an enormous amount of work. It's like going to be a 100% commitment. It's going to be like having a full-time job on top of your normal full-time job. So yes, it is possible to find a way to make a marriage work for a long time. I've seen it, and I've seen people be relatively happy, but it is not easy. It is not easy. Being a single guy has a lot of guarantees. Do you know what I mean? If you're single, you're guaranteed to be relatively happy, to have a lot of autonomy, to have a lot of ability to be your authentic self. You've got the opportunity to direct your life the way you want it to go. You can have control over your money, your lifestyle, your major purchases, your health. I mean, there's just so many benefits that come from being single that are practically baked into the system because you're in control of it. When you bring this other person in, this woman, suddenly everything gets tossed up in the air. And even when you think you've made the right decision in the beginning, there's no guarantee that she's not going to go off the rails at some point and drive your life into a ditch. So just keep that in mind. All right, you guys, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I bet it's long, though, so I'm not going to drag it out anymore. If you know someone who might appreciate this and find it humorous or at least educational, please share it with them. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.